a regiment created for vengeance, the 1st Hurian Expeditionary Force strikes with great speed, taking down its enemies before they can even react. Adorned in red armor, they strike out into the territories of the enemies of man. The 1st Hurian Expeditionary Force hails from the planet Huria. The planet is very rich in raw materials, but it is very inhospitable to human life, possessing a very thin atmosphere that forces inhabitants to wear rebreathers. The surface is covered in dark red sand, with the only sources of water located beneath the surface. The inhabitants of the planet live in underground cities in order to hide from the meteor showers that pass through the atmosphere unscathed. The Hurians haven't always lived on this planet, however. Over 50 years ago, they lived on the planet of Garissa, a temperate planet incredibly well suited for human life. Primarily focusing on agriculture, the planet didn't possess a very strong PDF. This they later came to regret, however, for a gene-stealer cult was growing on the planet. After preparing for decades, the gene-stealer cult began an uprising, taking the PDF by surprise. Most members were killed at the very beginning of the uprising, and the handful that survived were pushed back to their last base. Seeing the situation as hopeless, the commander ordered an immediate planetary evacuation. The civilians were the first to leave, and the remnants of the PDF were the last, holding back the hordes right up until the very end. The evacuation ships were not capable of interstellar travel, so they headed for the planet of Huria that was located in the same star system. At the time, the planet only had a small mining colony on it, alongside a single manufactorum. The time they spent on this planet has been named the Great Exile in their history. During this time, the people first began working on building additional cities underground and manufacturing the equipment to survive on the planet. Wearing a rebreather became a part of their culture, and most of the time they didn't take it off. After ensuring they could survive on the planet, they began focusing on their military so that they could reclaim their original world. From the remnants of the PDF that made it onto the evacuation ships rose the 1st Hurian Expeditionary Force. For years they prepared for war, and the hour of vengeance drew ever closer. The day that they finally launched their ships marked the beginning of the Reclamation War. Using plans and information that they brought with them onto the Exodus ships, the 1st Hurians were easily able to take out military bases and quickly advance towards the capital. During nights, an elite commando force known as the Phantoms would parachute behind enemy lines and carry out sabotage missions and reconnaissance. One particular team, known as Team Hurian, was tasked with infiltrating the capital and assassinating the key figures of the cult. Led by the competent Captain Phillips, Team Hurian made significant headway, but ran into a significant challenge, for their primary target, the Patriarch, was under heavy guard. Knowing the importance of the Primus, however, Captain Phillips decided to focus his efforts on the Xeno General instead. As the Primus was heading for the front lines, Captain Phillips and his squad ambushed the convoy in a lightning raid, killing the Primus and leaving before the cult's army could catch up to them. The loss of their military leader greatly crippled the cult and made the job of the 1st Hurian Expeditionary Force a lot easier. Soon, the regiment had reached the capital and stormed it, killing every gene-stealer within it. Eventually, they found the Patriarch and killed it, sending the remaining parts of the cult into chaos. The regiment continued to fight on the planet for several months, weeding out stray cult terrorists and holdouts in a long and grueling guerrilla campaign. When the last gene-stealer lay rotting on the ground, they slowly started to move civilian population back onto the planet. Some decided to stay and continued mining and operating the manufactorum. The regiment's recruits from the remaining clean population were transported to Huria for training. The Great Exile was over at last. To remember the Great Exile, the soldiers of the 1st Hurian Expeditionary Force still wear the same dark red armor they wore while retaking the planet, and wear helmets that are equipped with rebreathers. Largely made of infantry, the 1st Hurian Expeditionary Force specializes in shock and awe tactics, using aggressive strategies to take key positions before the enemy can even react. By the time the enemy realizes what's happening, the regiment has already taken down the majority of their combat capabilities. They prefer to send in a few commandos to weaken the enemy before launching an attack. The 3 Grenadier battalions. All 3 battalions are 500 men strong each and operate independently from each other. In addition, the regiment has a specialist group of commandos colloquially known as the Phantoms. Trained to be deployed behind enemy lines, these commandos specialize in carrying out sabotage missions, assassinations, or even starting insurgencies against the enemy. They wear carapace armor with helmets. The helmets are equipped with a photovisor and a microbead. Armed with a Mark IV Ghost las rifle as their primary weapon, they can take down enemies from afar without anyone realizing, making them formidable opponents. Through an extensive psychological training program, they can resist some of the most invasive kinds of interrogation. Implanted in one of their arms just below the skin is a poisonous pill, which they use if captured, and there is no hope for escape, as they believe a quick death is a preferable alternative to betraying mankind and the Emperor. The troops, known as the Storm Brigade, are always in the thick of the action at the place where the fighting is the most brutal. Heavily armored and trained, they can crush any that stand in their way. Armed primarily with riser pattern hotshot volley guns, they are perfect for taking down a large number of hostiles or taking particularly stubborn fortresses. Some are equipped with shields instead, so they can provide mobile cover for their brothers in arms. They are equipped with a much heavier version of carapace armor than the Tempestus Scions, allowing them to take much more damage. Their helmets are equipped with a photovisor and a microbead, alongside with the helmet's built-in rebreathers. The Inferno Division, known as the Hellwalkers, are the regiment's elite soldiers. To be a Hellwalker, you must be heroically brave or fanatical, bordering on insanity. The Hellwalkers were created in response to the Tyranid invasion of Huria, specializing, as the name would suggest, in incendiary weapons. They are equipped with heat-resistant armor, flamers that have a fuel tank on the back of the shoulders, and inferno grenades with vengeance pattern las pistols as a secondary weapon. They will cleanse the enemy in glorious flames. During the defense of Huria, they were responsible for burning everything that was in the way of the Tyranids, denying them any biomass. Other missions were to burn down biostructures and take down as many Tyranid organisms they could. Most of these missions were suicidal, no hope to return. For this reason, the Hellwalkers only recruited the bravest or the most fanatical, or simply those that were insane enough. For the almost certain end of a Hellwalker, the suits have a built-in self-destruct feature that, when activated, would detonate the Prometheum tank and engulf an entire area in flames. Even in death, the Hellwalkers will take the enemies with them.